to make this delicious little stinky slider, okay? So I'm gonna start out with the meat. You want to use a good quality meat, okay? I chose to go with ground buffalo. Ground buffalo is awesome. It is very lean. It's a very healthy and clean beef for you to eat. It's wonderful, okay? But if you do not want to use ground buffalo, you definitely can use any organic grass-fed beef from your store. I got this from Georgetown Market, and it is absolutely amazing. Dinner rolls. Now, everybody knows that White Castle's has that cute little bun, right? But sometimes buns have things in it that we just don't need for our bodies. So I chose to go with this brand. It's called DeLand Bakery All Natural Millet Dinner Rolls. It is gluten-free, soy-free, dairy-free, nut-free, non-GMO, and it's great. It has all the good healthy grains that's essential for healthy stuff in our body, okay? So you don't have to really worry about this bun at all. So to make this healthy version, make sure you either get something like this or make your own. Just make your own using organic whole wheat flour and go for it. Dehydrated minced onions. These are organic dehydrated minced onions. I get them from the bulk area at my favorite store, Georgetown Market, guys. Awesome. And you know what? They smell like onions. Now we know White Castles wouldn't be White Castles if they did not stink, okay? And these are gonna put the stank on your White Castles. And as if the dehydrated onions didn't add enough stank, we're gonna add a little bit of extra fresh organic onion to that, all right? Now this is completely optional, you don't have to do that. But here in Indy, depending on where and what side of town you get your White Castles from, sometimes you need to add a little bit of extra something because they don't taste like anything sometimes. And I find myself coming home throwing some seasonings, honey, on top of my White Castles. Now, you can just do straight salt and pepper and onion powder or whatever you want, but I decided I wanted to add a little bit of this delicious steak seasoning. This whole packet is filled with a blend of organic spices just for beef. And hey, I have some buffalo, so you know what? I'm gonna dress it up a little bit. So I decided to add this. And the cool thing about getting things in bulk is that you only get what you need. So I don't have to have an entire bottle of this stuff, but it's great if you want to try new seasonings and you don't want to end up with an entire bottle. Bulk is definitely the way to go, and I got this from Georgetown Market, and I think I paid less than $1 for this. On this tray is just kosher salt, pepper, and onion powder. That's it. You will need a measuring cup to measure out your beef broth and your water. You will need wax paper, parchment paper, or plastic wrap, whatever you decide. I have wax paper because that's what I have inside of my cabinet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to line my pan with this, and as I spread out my beef to make it really thin and flat, I'm going to use this because I'm going to transfer that beef mixture right into the freezer, and it's going to need something to rest upon. And you're going to need a pan, all right? You're going to need a nice shallow baking pan. This is a cookie pan, I believe, cookie sheet. And I think it's 11 by 15 or 10 by 15. It's something like that. I really don't know. But get something along these lines because we're using 1 pound of ground buffalo, and we're going to need something pretty large to make sure our meat is thin. Now just remember, when you're making these sliders, you want to make sure that your beef layer is extremely thin. White Castles are thin, guys. They're not thick hamburgers. Don't try to reinvent the wheel and make something thick because that's not what we're going for, okay? You want a nice shallow cookie sheet to put that beef in so that you can roll it out and make it very thin. Oh, and one more thing. This is going to be my rolling pin. I have a rolling pin, but do you see this lip around this area? What happens when I put my rolling pin down is that it lifts up and it doesn't really get to the meat. So this little guy, which is my daughter's cup, please don't tell her that I'm using it. I just use it and I just roll it out. And wherever it ends, I just move it and I just keep rolling it out until it's very thin. So if you have a little bitty rolling pin, use it. But if not, something like this will work just fine, all right? So now we're going to go ahead and get started with mixing our beef. Boom. Okay guys, so now we're gonna go ahead and we're going to get this meat mixture going, all right? So I went ahead and chopped up my onion, and I chopped only about half of it, okay? Just so I can get a 1/4 cup. I'm gonna add a 1/4 cup of the fresh organic onion to the beef mixture. Now, the reason why I'm adding fresh onion is because buffalo is very lean, and because it's so lean, it's gonna need a little extra moisture, all right? So that fresh onion really helps out with that, all right? And then from there, I'm gonna take these little dehydrated onions. I'm gonna add about, let me grab a tablespoon over here. I'm gonna add, actually this is a teaspoon, don't need that. Grab a tablespoon. And what I'm gonna do is add about 2 tablespoons of the dehydrated onions to the beef. Now, from there, we have the kosher salt, the pepper, and the onion powder. Now, like I said, this is all up to you and how you want to do it. You know, you do not need a whole lot of salt. Some people think that they do, but you really, really don't. And that's totally your preference. So I'm going to start out with a couple sprinklings now. I'm just taking my kosher salt. I'm going to do 2. Okay. And then the seasoning, the steak seasoning, I think I'll just do a teaspoon of that. It's probably all I have. I'm going to do a good healthy teaspoon of that steak seasoning. Okay, now with the pepper, this is a little teaspoon. I'm doing like a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. So I just did, this is a half of a teaspoon, and we know 1/4 and 1/4 is a half, so half of this is a 1/4. And then with my onion powder, I'm going to do a good teaspoon, so 2 of these. Hopefully it doesn't fall. All right. And now with the broth, I'm going to start out with half a cup. Now, you are going to probably need more, but please don't just dump all of your broth in at one time. We want it to be a good mixture, good consistency. We don't want it to be too soupy, but we don't want it to be too dry. So a good rule of measure is just to go slow. So I'm going to start with half a cup of that organic broth. Make sure to give it a good shake. It smells so good, guys. Now, this is not for the squeamish. Ha ha ha. You have to get your hands up in here, okay? Don't play with it. Now, take your hands, put it inside the beef, and get to mushing. If you don't like to touch raw meat, wear some gloves. If you're making this for other people, wear some gloves. But this is for my family. I know my hands are impeccably clean, and I'm not afraid. So I'm about to jump on in here with my hands and get it all mashed up. Okay? Now, buffalo is very, very lean. I've seen some copycat recipes that say go for 80-20. You can do whatever you want to do. But like I said, I want to make sure that I'm just doing this the healthy way. It makes me feel better about the fast food, and it takes care of that craving, because when they say White Castle is what you crave, they're not lying. It's what you crave, okay? So I definitely need more. That's probably a 1/4 cup. Okay, great. I think this is perfect. It's just enough. Okay? I don't need any more. So I'm just making sure that I get it all mixed up so I can roll it out. Now, there's some recipes out there that call for all types of different things, like even, I think it's like baby food. No, I wouldn't even give baby food like that to my daughter. I made all of her baby food, so I'm definitely not going to put it in here. And there are other things like bean paste. I saw something like that. You don't need bean paste, I don't think. I mean, you could try it, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it this way. I find that the beef broth, it really works like a charm. Okay, now from this point on, the meat is good. It's mushy, but it's not too liquidy, and it's not too dry. Okay, so I'm going to be able to press it and roll it in my pan. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get my pan ready, and hopefully you guys can see what it looks like. See, nice and moist, holds its shape. All right, I'm gonna get my pan out and I'm gonna get it prepared with the wax paper, and then I'm gonna show you guys how to roll it out. So that's it. I'll be back. Okay guys, so now it's time to get that cookie sheet lined up. So what I did was I just ripped off 2 tears of wax paper. Now I made it double because I want to make sure that every part of this pan is lined, and one piece, I mean, I guess it'll be okay, but just in case, well, just in case, I'm still gonna do 2, all right? I'm also a baker, and I know how these things can slide around when you start fooling around with them. So I have my cookie sheet lined, all right? So now I'm gonna go ahead and grab my buffalo. Okay, and I'm just gonna mix up just a little bit more with my hand before I get started. Okay, and here we go. So what you want to do is you just want to put it in a good mound right in the center of the pan. Make sure you get all of that buffalo, honey. All of it. Okay? So now, we got our little friend right here in the center. Now what I like to do, I just start taking my hand and I try to keep it very, very level. And I just start pressing it out. Pressing it out. This seems like it's very hard to do, but if you just take your time and you think about happy things, you'll get right on through it. And it smells so good. That onion in here is just singing. It smells delicious. That steak seasoning smells really good too. Okay. Now, when I first made these, so funny because that, you know, I had them a little thick in certain areas, and it just wasn't as White Castle-y as I wanted it to be. I mean, it was good, but it just wasn't that great. I think I was just very excited to make it, so I just was like, yeah, I'm going for it. And I just really wish I would have taken my time. So when I made them another time, and really took my time, it was perfect. So take your time. I was going to fast forward through this, but I want you guys just to see how easy it is, because some people say, I'm not going to sit there and roll out all this meat and press and all this whatever, but really, if you take your time, it works. And see, I'm almost finished, and I'm just using my hands. And you have these little lumps and bumps, and it's like a pie crust, right? So as you roll out the pie crust, you get to the thick parts, and as you roll away from you, it gets thinner. So that's what I'm doing with my hands. And you want it to take shape of your pan, but you don't want that thickness right there where the lip is, so I just take my finger and I just press it down. You don't want it paper thin, but you'll see exactly. When you get your hands in here and you start messing with this, guys, it's going to be like a no-brainer. You're going to totally understand what I'm talking about. Okay? Keep your hand level. Now I'm using the palm of my hand to push the other stuff back. And then I'll even take my hand like this and just kind of rake it. Now there's a tear right here, but that's okay. You're just going to patch it up just like you would do any type of dough. But this is a meat crust. It's so gross. Sounds so weird, a meat crust. But anyway. So now I'm going to take my baby's cup. I really don't need to, actually. It's just actually fine. Just use my hand. Now over in this area, we got some creeping up. I'm going to push it and bring it over here. Okay? Now, if you see things like this where there's a little hole, just take your finger and press it over. Okay, so now I'm going to take her cup. I didn't spray it with anything or anything crazy. And I'm just going to make sure everything is nice and rolled out. You don't have to add a lot of pressure. Just go through. And where the cup ends, the lip ends, start out. And look at that. It's beautiful. Okay, and I'm just going to do it again for safe measure. And now I'm going to take my hands, I'm just going to run over it back and forth and make sure it's really smooth. All right. So now we've done the thing, all right? We've got it all rolled out. It looks nice and even. Taking my fingers wherever there's like a little lip, just take it, push it down. And that's it, okay guys? Now it's time for the fun part. Now, you are going to need a straw. No, it's not organic, but whatever. So what you want to do, we're going to use the straw to put the famous holes in the White Castles, because White Castles are cooked by steam. And the holes really help out with the cooking process to help keep them moist and to help that steam move through them evenly, okay? And you're also going to need something to score them with. I'm just going to use this steak knife right here. Now, White Castles are not very big, and our bun isn't very big, but it's about this wide, okay? Now we know when beef cooks, it shrinks. So we're gonna go a little bit wider than the bun. I don't know how wide that is, but when you're making these, you can measure your buns with a ruler if you want, and you can make sure they're extremely accurate, or you can just do like I did, take your finger and measure it and then put it over there and eyeball it. That's what I do, okay? And then use the back of the knife if you want, or you can just press down like this, and that's what I'm doing. I was using the back of the knife, but I decided not to, so now I'm just going to take it and try not to tear and rip your meat like I just did, but you're doing more of a press than a pull, all right? So just press, 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 press all the way back, because that's going to help you to really get that meat apart. And I'm a little crooked, but it's okay. It's totally cool. It's no big deal. It'll all be okay. Press, 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 press. And there you go. Now, with the little White Castle DIY, you're always going to have this little area where, excuse me, where there's going to be some extra meat. That's okay. Just eat it and use it for something else. So we want to get 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect. So we're going to cut right here. And move it on down and cut right here. A little bit higher. And guess what, guys? You have just scored big time, no pun intended, but just a little bit, in making your White Castle. Okay, so there we go. So now I'm going to take the straw, and it has hamburger meat on it from my finger, and we're just going to make holes. Now sometimes it comes up easy and then sometimes it doesn't. Now if you don't want to fool with that, hey, use your finger. I was trying to be fancy, but I'm not going to do it. It's going to take forever. Take your finger and make holes. Just like that. Center, top. And that way you don't waste any of your beef. Who wants to do that? Buy beef just to poke holes in it and then maybe throw those little pieces away. Just use your finger. And this process will help, like I said, that steam get through that burger, keeping it very moist and also to cook it evenly. And it's going to be so good. And once again, guys, I wish you could smell this. And when you guys make this, please make sure you let me know how it came out, and you know, and what you decided to do and what seasonings you use. That'll be so much fun to know, because everybody's different. And I just think that when you find a recipe, you just make it your own. And I love White Castles, but you know what? We do need to be a little bit more conscious of what we're putting in our bodies, not saying anything bad about them, but I know that this definitely is good for me and my family, and I know what's in it because I made it. All right, so there you go. So I'm going to hold it up so you can see it. There's our white cassels, full of onions, stinking so good, full of flavor and seasonings and just deliciousness. Nice and rolled out, nice and thin, and it has the nice holes in it that we just made with our fingers. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take a piece of plastic wrap after I've washed my hands and lay it on top, and I'm going to pop this in the freezer. And then in about 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours, some people do theirs overnight. You can totally do this overnight if you like, but that's not necessary. 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours is really all you need to get this frozen enough so that you can pop them out of here, take that off, and then go on to the next process of actually cooking these delicious babies. So I'll be back and I'll show you that. Okay guys, now it's time to get them ready for the freezer. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take some plastic wrap. All right, now this lip is going to help me out with that because this plastic wrap is not going to stick to the wax paper whatsoever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll out enough or pull out enough just where it goes over that lip on that one side and on this side. Okay. And then repeat that. Super easy. Super duper easy. And that's it. So now I'm going to take it and I'm going to press it down a little bit. I'm going to pop it into the freezer, and then I'll be back in a couple hours, guys, and then we'll go ahead and get moving, and I'll show you how to cook these delicious burgers. So I'll be back. So I'm going to grab a measuring cup. It's about 1 cup, and I'm going to pour the remaining the dehydrated organic onions into this cup. Okay, and what I have left is a little under a cup, so I'm going to say about a 1/2 cup of the onions. So you want to use about 1/2 cup of your onions, and then pour them into your beef broth mixture. All right, and just kind of give it a good little swirl, or you can stir it, which is a good idea. So go ahead and stir it around. All right. Now what you want to do, you want to take it and just kind of put it, just put it on your cookie sheet. You want to make sure that you get your onions spread out evenly, because you want these onions to make it underneath every part of your buffalo. Hopefully you guys can see this. Let me move this out of the way a little bit more. I think you guys are okay. Okay, so I have my onions spread out. Okay, and now you're going to take that broth and just pour it. Now you don't want to overfill it because you have to transfer this to the oven, and you don't want it spilling all over the place, but that's going to give it some good steam. Okay, and pour that in so that it looks like this. It looks really good. Now some people add a little bit of water. I'm not going to do that. I find it really doesn't make a difference. Now very carefully, I need a lot more room than I have. This is a little tricky, but you can do it. Just kind of, you're gonna flip your meat over. There you go, into the pan, just like this. And you see why it's important to have the wax paper and all that stuff? Because it really helps you transfer it over. And then you can take it off. And then you just stick it down into the pan like so. And there you have it. it has been transferred safely into the pan. So a little over a cup, I would say just a cup of your beef broth, all right, to about a half cup of the dehydrated organic onions. And then all you do, you spread it in the pan. Make sure that it's spread evenly as possible so that when you invert this onto it, that it will cover every part, and every White Castle is going to get some onion goodness, and that's it. So now I'm going to go ahead and pop this in my oven for about, I'd say 9 minutes. Now here's the kicker. This is all about steam, guys. You do not want to open up your oven and keep checking on, is my White Castle done yet? Is my White? Don't do that, because you will mess it up, okay? Leave it in your oven. I say a good 9 minutes. And then from there, we'll take it out, and then we'll proceed to the next step to go ahead and get this completely done. So that's it. I'll be back in 9 minutes. Okay, guys. My burgers are in the oven, so I think it'll be a great time to talk to you about the cheese and the pickles and the buns. Okay, my hands have been washed, everything's ready. So I'm gonna go ahead and take out the buns, because we're gonna need to work not too fast, but you just wanna be organized. And I've cleaned the countertop, so I'm not worried about any type of cross-contamination or anything weird, all right? Now these buns, they are in the freezer section at Georgetown Market, okay? So make sure when you purchase them, if you get them from there, to let them sit out for a while so that they can thaw for you, all right? And I also have organic cheese. This is by Organic Valley. This is the mild cheddar. You can also use American cheese if you like. Now, I don't know if there are any organic American cheese options, but if you choose to use American cheese, just go to the deli and get it. Don't buy like the processed stuff, because that kind of defeats the purpose unless you just have to have it. But this is just my way of doing it. So I went ahead and chose the Organic Valley mild cheddar cheese that is organic. And I also have some organic kosher pickles. So everything is pretty good here for these sliders. And like I said, this is about a healthy option for fast food. For when I get the crave, or when you get the crave, you can do it a little bit, just a little bit differently, so that you feel good about what you're consuming. All right. So I'm just going to take a knife. I really should use a serrated knife, but I'm not doing that right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these babies in half. All right. Here, there's a set of 4. Be careful. I've been doing this with cakes for so long, I'm just used to going for it. Just want to cut them in half. There's 8. Here's 10. And then there's 10. So guys, there's only 10 buns in this package. Bummer, but it's okay, because I can save those other little 2, and it's not that big of a deal. So you have 10 buns, all right, and a mess. And then scoot your mess over, get that out of the way, and then go ahead and open up your cheese. Boom. And open up your pickles. And that's it. All right, so now everything is ready to go. And here are your buns and your pickles. Had to move my camera a little bit. And your cheese. So now you're going to be ready to assemble your sliders when they come out of the oven. All right, so I'm gonna scoot these back here to my clean workspace, and I'll be back. Okay guys, and here they are right out of the oven, right here for you. Make sure you can see them. All right, and there they are, right out of the oven, okay? So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna put the cheese on like so. It doesn't matter how you put it on, it doesn't have to be perfect. And remember, you have the little area that's shrunk up, so, and it's going to melt like so wonderfully. Here, slide these over. Yeah. Perfect. Now you want to go ahead and take your pickles and lay them down. These are pretty big, so but it doesn't matter to me. They're still going to be delicious. Delicious kosher pickles, organic. I love pickles. My family loves pickles, so that's a plus win-win for us. Make sure your hands are clean. One more. All right. And now we're going to go ahead and put our hamburger, the dinner roll buns on top. Make sure you save the bottoms for the bottoms. And we only have 10. Go for 2 more. And everybody's like, oh, it's supposed to be so perfect, but it really does not have to be. Kind of playing Tetris a little bit here. And there we go. Got it. And there. So you want it to look just like that. All right. And then we're going to put them back in the oven for maybe 4 to 5 minutes. All right. So depending on your oven and how hot it is, you know, we're going to go from that standpoint. But usually for my oven, about 4 minutes is great, because if not, it starts to burn on the top. So I'll be back. Okay, my battery is about to die, but this is what they look like when they come out of the oven. Now, if you have some extra meat like in the center, all you have to do is just trim it like I did. And you know you're going to have that little area where you had extra. Just trim that off, and you can definitely eat those delicious morsels for a snack or for later. But they're amazing. And so the next thing you want to do is just plate them up. And how I do it, I just grab one, grab a bottom, just like this, put it on a plate. Screw that little trim part away, grab one, put the bun on the bottom, and put it on the plate. And just repeat. Look at that cheese, guys. And they're so moist and delicious. Look at that cheese. Hopefully you can see it. And the onions at the bottom, delicioso. Pick it up and just keep plating until you have a plate of deliciousness. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get 12 buns in that packet, but that's okay. It's no big deal. We still made it work. And 3 more to go. The pickles are falling, but that's okay. So good, and so good for you. Yes, it is hot, but I'm used to doing this. I do not suggest you do this if you don't like a lot of heat on your hands. And look at that cheese, guys. Look at that moistness in the juice. And the smell. I mean, my goodness. My goodness. Yeah. And all that delicious juice made some delicious sliders. Look at that. Guys, this is my version of healthy White Castles. Lean buffalo meat, all organic, everything, pretty much everything's organic. And I made it. I know what's in it. And I'm so thankful to have a store like Georgetown Market in my neighborhood where I can just go and grab good things that I need for me and my family. And I hope you guys will try this recipe and that you will enjoy it. And if you try it, please let me know. So I'm gonna give you a close-up of these delicious, stinky, cheesy, look at that cheese, sliders. Oh. All right, guys, so I love you guys, and remember, we all love our fast food. We all have our vice. We all have that thing that we really love, but we can totally recreate it to be something positive and something delicious and wonderful for us. All it takes is a little bit of just a try. You just want to have to try to do it, and go forth. I always say that, and go forth. So there is a way to have healthy fast food, healthy White Castles, my whimsical burgers, and that's it. So I love you guys, and until next time, bye.